if you don't take the time to build the life you desire, eventually you'll be forced to spend much more time dealing with a life you don't want. Kevin Ingu. Every passing minute shapes the form of the future. Life isn't a naturally complete painting, but a vast canvas waiting for our patient hand to draw each stroke, whether clumsy or precise. When we procrastinate on our dreams, we're like a farmer who forgets the planting season, only to panic when the cold winds arrive before an empty field. Time doesn't favor laziness or fear. It silently flows by, carrying opportunities for those who dare to act and leaving regret for those who only dream. Awareness of responsibility for our own happiness. That every choice today, no matter how small, is a brick building the house of tomorrow. If we don't proactively build the dream house with discipline, effort, and faith, we'll be swept into the cramped rooms of circumstances arranged by others or by chance. But when we start dedicating time to what we crave learning, training, loving, and growing, we're laying the foundation for a meaningful life. And then, those slow steps will accumulate into a profound transformation, taking us from passivity to mastery, from enduring to enjoying, so that in the end, we don't just live, but live true to our dreams and values. Reflect on how many things have happened that you didn't want, but in the end, they made you better. Musonius Rufus. Looking back on the path of life we've traveled, where the rugged turns that once made us stumble silently forged our feet to be steadier. In the moment of crisis, we often see only darkness and loss, like when a heavy rain pours down, turning the sky gray and the paths muddy. Yet after that rain, the air becomes fresher, the trees greener, and the sunshine more brilliant than ever. The unwanted things in life are the same. They may hurt our hearts, shatter our dreams, but from those fragments, we learn resilience, empathy, and greater appreciation. Each failure is like a strict teacher, not stroking us with praise, but teaching us through real experience, so that when we stand up, we're no longer as weak as before. Without days of being lost, we wouldn't know how precious direction is. Without hurt, it's hard to open our hearts deeply to others. When we're calm enough to look back, we'll realize that the strong, mature, and more loving version of ourselves today was born from yesterday's challenges. And in that realization, we find gratitude not for the pain that occurred, but because it helped us grow, bringing us closer to the better person we're becoming. We should strive to teach tolerance and altruism because we are born selfish. Richard Dawkins. A barren plot of land initially grows only weeds. If not tended, it will hardly bloom with fragrant flowers or sweet fruits. Selfishness is like a natural instinct for self-preservation, helping us survive and protect our fragile ego in the vast world. But if allowed to grow unchecked, it will block the light of understanding and love. Therefore, tolerance and altruism aren't innate, but seeds that need to be sown through education, experience, and examples from hearts that know how to love. When we learn to put ourselves in others' positions, it's like opening another window for the soul, letting the sunshine of empathy flood in, dispelling the coldness of a closed self. Each act of yielding, each forgiveness, is a small hoe turning up the rough soil of instinct, creating conditions for beautiful values to take root. Gradually, from a place once filled only with competition and defense, rows of trees of tolerance will grow, providing shade for relationships and easing unnecessary conflicts. The selfish instinct, when faced directly with awareness, while opening the path for humans to rise above that instinct, becoming a more compassionate version of themselves. And in the process of learning to give, forgive, and understand, we not only make the world around us warmer, but also expand our own souls, making them more peaceful and meaningful each day. Do your best until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Maya Angelou. Life is for souls groping in the early morning fog, where the path ahead isn't fully clear, but each step must still be taken with all sincerity and effort. When we're still immature, knowledge is like a small lamp in the dark night, illuminating only a short distance, but that faint light is enough to keep us from standing still in fear. Doing our best at that stage isn't to achieve perfection, but to learn, collide, and accumulate experience. Like a swimmer who must dare to enter the water before gliding smoothly. Then, over time, as knowledge expands like the sun rising high, illuminating the entire path, we begin to see the mistakes, the limitations of old ways. At that point, we don't need to blame the past, but just adjust the present, because yesterday's version did the best it could with what it knew. Doing better isn't denying past efforts, but the natural step of growth, like a tree reaching higher and spreading wider after many seasons of rain and sun. In that simple philosophy lies self-compassion and an unceasing spirit of improvement. We allow ourselves to be imperfect, but not to stop progressing. And it's that steady rhythm between effort and learning that will gradually lead us to a more solid, wiser, and radiant version on life's journey. While no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. Karl Barth, The Twilight of the Past, where regrets often reside and old mistakes come knocking at memory's door. Time is like a one-way river. Once flowed, we can't scoop back the old drops, but humans aren't powerless. We can still change the course of our lifeboat at the current bend to head toward a brighter shore. Each now moment is like a door just opening, bringing the chance to redo in a more mature and awakened way, where old lessons become baggage rather than chains. The scratches from yesterday aren't to be hidden, but to remind us we've weathered storms and are strong enough to continue. When we dare to let go of regret, we're like a gardener pulling weeds from the soul's soil, creating space for seeds of hope to be sown. And each small decision today, a good habit, a positive thought, a courageous action, will quietly build a new ending for our life story. The power to begin. From this simple starting point, we can rewrite our direction, turning old chapters full of regret into the foundation for an ending filled with meaning, peace, and pride in the person we've become. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Warren Buffett, The Power of Silent but Persistent Actions. We can imagine a hand years ago diligently digging the earth under the scorching sun, sowing a tiny seed that seemed fragile in the vast land, with no applause, no immediate gratitude. Yet, as the years flow like tireless water, the tree's roots dig deep into the soil. Its trunk rises through seasons of wind and storm, so that today its canopy spreads wide like a cool green umbrella, sheltering weary travelers on life's journey. The good things we're enjoying rarely appear by chance. They're the result of someone's patience, foresight, and faith in the past. It's like the knowledge we have today comes from diligent study hours long ago, or the stability now built from past falls. More importantly, the image of the tree gently places in our hearts a tender responsibility. Become the one who sows seeds for the future. Even if we're not sure we'll sit in that shade, each kind action, each building effort is a seed growing in silence. And then one day, at a time we may not witness, that shade will spread, bringing peace to others, just as life has once graciously sheltered us today. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Rodgers. Life is always in motion, with no room for immutability, no matter how right the path we choose. A boat drifting down a wide river. If the pilot releases the oars and lets the water push, the boat may still head toward the sea. But other boats, paddling stronger, will quickly surge ahead, leaving us lingering behind in the vast stillness. Life is the same. constantly changing, like revolving seasons. New knowledge emerges, new opportunities open, and old standards gradually become outdated. Being on the right track is only a valuable start, but without continuous effort, that track becomes sluggish, even meaningless in the general flow of evolution. The importance of persistent action, of a spirit of learning and advancing without cease, like a flame needing more wood to keep burning bright. If neglected, no matter how brilliant it once was, it will gradually fade. When we understand this, we stop being complacent with our current position and start cherishing each small step forward every day, because it's those silent movements that keep us ahead of ourselves. And in that ceaseless rhythm, we not only avoid being left behind, but also step closer to a better and more complete version of our life. There is no shortage of remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them. Seth Godin. Brilliant dreams often lie dormant in the drawer of the mind, gathering dust from hesitation and fear of failure. Ideas are like stars in the night sky, twinkling, full of promise, and captivating to gaze upon. But if we stop at admiration, that sky remains distant, never warming the ground. Only when we turn that light into a flame of action does it truly illuminate the path and create change. Many intelligent people have conceived wonderful plans, intentions that could make life better, but let them slumber for lack of that first step forward. Will is the bridge between dreaming and reality, between could be and done. It's not noisy, not flashy, but persistent, like water flowing through rock, bit by bit, creating miracles. When we nurture will, advancing a small step each day, those once vague ideas will gradually take shape, breathe, and come alive in reality. The world isn't changed by the most brilliant thoughts, but by people who dare to persistently act to the end. And in the process of turning ideas into reality, we not only create results, but also forge ourselves to be stronger, more confident, and filled with positive energy on the journey to conquer dreams. I owe my success to having listened respectfully to the very best advice and then going away and doing the exact opposite. G.K. Chesterton. The rare spirit of self-reliance and courage in people who dare to take their own path. A traveler attentively studies a map drawn by others, noting each familiar trail and turn. But when embarking on the real journey, they choose to follow an unexplored stream where the grass is still dewy and the sky opens wider. Listening to advice with respect shows wisdom and humility, as each opinion holds valuable experience. But daring to do the opposite requires courage, intuition, and deep faith in one's own vision. Many safe paths are already paved, but it's often the less traveled ones that lead to breakthrough horizons, not encouraging blind stubbornness, but praising selective absorption, learning from others without losing one's inner voice. Like a bird learning to fly with the flock to avoid storms, but then needing to spread wings alone to find its own sky. Humans mature when balancing collective wisdom and personal resolve, and in that combination, success is no longer a repetition of old patterns, but a unique mark, reflecting the courage, creativity, and free spirit of those who trust the path they've chosen. The secret of business is to know something that nobody else knows. Aristotle Onassis. A miner patiently digs deep into the dark earth, where most have given up seeing only gravel and dust, but at that depth lie glittering veins of gold. In the noisy and fiercely competitive business world, where everyone sees the same surface opportunities, true advantage isn't in running faster on crowded roads, but in spotting overlooked turns. Knowing something here isn't just secret information, but deep understanding of human needs, emerging trends, or unsolved problems, like sensing the smell of rain before the sky gathers dark clouds, or hearing distant waves when the sea is still calm. Successful business people read those subtle signs and act before they become obvious to the masses, not advocating cunning, but honoring observational wisdom, ceaseless learning, and vision beyond the immediate. When we look deeper than the surface, ask more questions, and connect scattered pieces of information, we're gradually opening doors to opportunities others haven't noticed. And in that unique knowledge, businesses not only generate profit, but create new value, lead the market, and leave a distinct mark amid life's ceaseless flow.